How are things in Palm Springs? It's so hard when you got lots of money.
Oh, I know, please.
Did you punch him?
Green Acres has no debt.
No, Palm Springs.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
Green Acres has no debt.
no debt. Let me know.
Madam Mayor, it is 6:19 and we are live.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Lake Worth Beach Regular City Commission meeting of Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. Can we have the roll call, please?
Mayor Betty Resch,
Here.
Vice Mayor Sarah Maliga,
Present.
Commissioner Christopher McVoy,
Here.
Commissioner Mimi May,
Present.
Commissioner Reynaldo Diaz.
Here.
Thank you very much. The Pledge of Allegiance, the moment of silence will be led by Commissioner Diaz.
Thank you. Over the weekend, the community, we lost a friend and colleague in Mayor Fred Pinto of Royal Palm Beach. Rather unexpected, happened over the weekend. He's also a member of the governing board, so he is a work colleague of sorts and just an overall nice guy who is dedicated to his community. So, a moment of silence for the Royal Palm Beach community, his friends, his family, anyone impacted by his loss. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have any additions, deletions, or reordering?
We do not.
Okay, and we don't need to vote for the agenda. So, presentation by the PBSO Community Policing Update by our new Captain Terrence Karn. Yay!
Good evening, Mayor.
Is your microphone on? And speak quite close. For the people listening out there, it's hard to hear, so
Will do so.
thank you.
All right, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, all of the commissioners, and the city manager, and the residents of Lake Worth Beach. I am Captain Terrence Karn with Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. I will be giving our quarterly presentation meeting. Clicker? Sorry. Okay.
How many guys does it take to help you do this, right?
How many minutes does it take to click a clicker?
Go forward. Okay, so our topics are going to be community policing information, which is going to be the outreach events, problem solving. Also going to have update from the crisis response team and the homeless intervention team. Okay, to start off with our events, over the last 6 months, we did multiple community policing events throughout the city. And our first one was the fishing derby, where we were teaching kids how to fish, etc. This was done by the POW organizations. Our next event, the Miami Heat game. Several youth had opportunities to shoot basketballs on the arena floor. Once again, another event put together by PBSO POW. Our next event was the Palm Beach Skate Zone, where kids had the opportunity to learn how to ice skate. Our next event is the POW PGA National Golf Program. Hopefully, someday, these will be some of our future golf stars. This is a great mentoring program as well.
I noticed you didn't say that about the ice skating.
Well, the ice skating as well. Ice skating as well. All right, so next is gonna be the Drive Shack. After they played golf at the PGA National, then they went to the Drive Shack for some nice refreshments, to cool down and just have some fun. Next is the 4th of July celebration. We had the raft race, we had the parade, and there was also an event in the Bryant Park, which we handled. The next is the Easter hunt. As we know, Easter is very important to many of us. So, the kids enjoyed it, hunting for Easter eggs. It was a great event. Next is the Law Enforcement Officers Day at the Learning Center Preschool. Often people, when they come in contact with law enforcement, it's negative. But whenever you have the opportunity, and I always tell deputies this, to try to be a positive impact on somebody's life. So community events like this, these kids get an opportunity to see the deputies in a positive light instead of seeing us with something negative. Next, back to school backpack build. We helped build 1,200 backpack kits over 2 days. 100 of them were donated to the students in Lake Worth Beach. The next is the Back to School Bash, another event done by our community policing unit. We partnered with the PBSO therapy dog unit, and we gave away 100 backpacks to students here in the city of Lake Worth Beach. Next is Meet the Teachers/Parents. We went to 5 different local schools. This is a great way to help students get their school year started. Next is Cause for Pause. This event was set up, this was actually a car show that was set up to raise money for PBSO K-9s. And the PBSO K-9s are very important to our agency here and also to. Next is New Housing for a Family Displaced. So we partnered with Bridges of Lake Worth, and we helped the family physically move into a new residence. You know, we moved all the furniture and stuff for them and helped them out. Give me 1 second. I think I went a little bit too far ahead, and then give me a minute to get it back. Okay. Yeah, you can go back a little bit for me. Okay, back one more. Okay, so here we had a couple of children who did not have any new sneakers. So we partnered with local businesses and we purchased them new shoes and a bicycle to help them out. So the next topic is going to be community policing, problem-solving enforcement. So over the last 6 months, we conducted 3 prostitution operations. We arrested 10 people. From June to August 2024, we had several city ordinance violations that we focused on. We issued 76 notice to appears for illegal food vendors and 148 NTAs for possession of open containers. And we will continue focusing on the open container issues in the parks. So we're now in the process of getting that under control. Yes. Yes, correct, and the vendors as well. So now I'm just doing an update because I know Captain Foley from the Behavioral Services Unit came and did a presentation back in May 2024. I'm just doing an update to let you know about the crisis response team, which will include 1 mental health clinician, 1 detective, 1 peer specialist, and 1 sergeant for oversight. They will respond to mental health incidents that meet their protocol. Each incident must go through the PBSO communications, and the next CRT will be assigned to this region within 60 days. Okay. Eventually, there will be 5 CRTs in this region, which will be the East region. So we'll have 5 in this region. Next, the homeless intervention team. So our mission is to assist and advocate for people experiencing homelessness or those at risk of homelessness, including but not limited to the availability of decent, accessible, affordable housing, adequate income maintenance programs, medical care, mental health services, social services, job training, employment, and life skills. Also, we aim to develop and maintain a network of members and supporters and provide assistance and coordination through outreach. Our goal is to educate the public about the problem of homelessness and some solutions, particularly to community members, stakeholders, policymakers, and individuals interested in homelessness issues. Our aim is to organize people experiencing homelessness, empowering them to advocate for themselves in public matters and to assume a significant role in daily life's decision-making, thereby fostering self-advocacy and independence. Here in District 14, we have 1 full-time homeless intervention team deputy. This was established on 4/29/2024. In addition to this, we are adding 1 homeless intervention team liaison deputy on each of our squads, which means we'll have a total of 4.
24/7.
Yes, 24/7. Recently, we did an operation on last Thursday, which is 9/12/2024, and yesterday, 9/16/2024. This is Operation Heat. We did it in the North region and the East region. And here's some of the stats that we had. We had a total contacts of 32. We had 25 FIRs. We had, oh, excuse me.
FIR?
FRs are field interrogation reports. Whenever we come in contact with someone, especially a homeless person, we try to do a FIR each time to document it. The next is a refusal. Some homeless people may refuse. The next category is contact attempts. So we attempted 39 contacts. Services provided, ID card appointments. We try to get people identification cards, very important. The next, verification of homeless status forms completed, 17. Applications for shelter, 11. Transports for mental evaluations, 2. Medical/mental evaluation appointments, 4. Clothing, toiletries provided, 16. And food provided was 1. So ultimately, what we're getting at is PBSO is working on helping with this homeless issue. We will continue to get better. That's our goal, that's our vision. However, we cannot arrest the problem away. So our first step is to try to get them services. That's our goal, to get them services first. All right? Any questions?
Sure. Ms. Malega?
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Lake Worth Beach.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, we used to have a victim advocate, and it was continued in the last contract that we continued to still have her. Her name was Lourdes. Do we still have her here? So we have 1 or 2 that's always here, just 1? Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because we didn't talk about that the last couple times. And I know that that's very important to our community. And we're really able to move the needle with that victim advocate. She does a great job. Thank you for all your hard work.
Mr. McVoy?
Thank you and welcome to Lake Worth Beach. I doubt it will be boring.
Okay.
Appreciate your work here. Do you remember or know off the top of your head, the name of the individual that, the deputy, I believe it was, that was started on 429?
Yes.
Can't hear you.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. The name of the deputy who started at 429 on, I guess, the homeless intervention team?
Yes. His name is Deputy Herzog.
I just want to say that I have heard in the community great praise for Mr. Herzog or Deputy Herzog. Will he be continuing in that role?
Yes, he will be.
Okay, great. Because, there's real appreciation of his, it's not the easiest thing to do, that kind of interaction. So thank you for that.
Okay.
If we could go back about 3 slides, I think.
Maybe.
One more back. Yeah, that one. No, one more from that. Could you help me understand a little bit better, the first 2 of those, I guess they're starred ones, PBSO is not going to provide housing.
No.
I mean, you don't,
We're going to refer them to those services. That's what we do. We just make referrals to those services, because there's a lot of different services in the community. So we just do community referrals. In a sense, some deputies are acting as social workers. Yes, we're
Yeah.
still deputies, but some of the roles that we have to act as a social worker as well.
yeah. In fact, I just heard an interesting program that there was a chief of police around 1915 or 1970 that actually said that's what police should do, is be social workers. And I thought, that's interesting. Interesting idea. And the adequate income maintenance, again, you're not going to provide income, you're not going to provide jobs, you're trying to steer them
Exactly.
to anything
Refer
you
them to
know.
services that are available in the community.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I just was unclear.
Ms. May?
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
First of all, I like seeing all the pale stuff. I kind of want to be a pale. Like, they get to go do such fun things. That's awesome. How many kids are involved in that program? Do you know, like roughly?
Maybe 50.
Total is probably,
Like 50, and they all live here in Lake Worth Beach?
Yes.
Yes,
In District 14 somewhere?
so not in all, just the Lake Worth Beach PAL, yes.
Okay, oh, okay, and right, but those kids were Lake Worth Beach kids. Okay, that's awesome. I want to thank you for the illegal food vendors. I do worry about the safety of the food and the impact on the businesses around the city that is selling food with a business license, with a health inspection, and as they're the right way. My other question is with the CRT, and you said that we're going to have 5 in our region. How big is our region?
Our region includes the city of Lake Worth. It includes District 1, which is unincorporated Lake Worth and West Palm Beach, and it includes Green Acres.
How far out west do we
Roughly
go?
all the way to 441, pretty much, yes.
Okay, so that's a pretty big district.
Yes.
Okay. Have you received direction, I would assume, who's higher than you? The sheriff? You, okay. Okay, Major. Just because of the changes that supposedly are going to be happening on October 1st with homelessness and sleeping in the parks. And I'm just wondering if you have received any direction, is our policies going to change for you, like literally on that day, or what's going to happen?
Thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
For right now, we're gonna continue doing pretty much the same thing that we've been doing. Oh,
No, you just have to
It
get
was on,
really
you just have
close
to get
to it.
closer.
The height.
You're just too tall.
You're too tall. No,
it's off now.
There you
There
go,
you
now
go.
it's
No,
on.
it's good.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna continue doing what we're doing. You know, that's why we're doing these, well, that's why we formed the homeless intervention team, to address the homeless issues. We understand the new law is coming out, but what I would say is, if the city decides to say, hey, we're looking at possibly creating a certain ordinance to address this, then we would ask as a courtesy if you could allow us to give it to our legal team, and then we would go from there. But as far as what we do, we're gonna continue doing what we do.
So what about the ordinances that are already in place for no trespassing? For example, on this property, there's signs that say no trespassing 10 to 6 a.m. The parks are open from dawn to dusk. There are already policies in place regarding trespassing,
Yes.
which I would assume if you're at the park at night, you're trespassing. So what other ordinances would you need?
Okay. Moving into our policy.
Okay.
We have something that's called we have something called life-sustaining conduct misdemeanors, right? So if an individual is committing one of these misdemeanors, we will try to go and offer them a shelter. Hey, we need you to go to the shelter, or do you want to go to the shelter? We would ask them. If they say, yes, I want to go to that shelter, then we would transport them, if they accept it, to that shelter. However, if they're committing one of these misdemeanors, and they say that, no, I don't want to go to a shelter, I don't want any services, then we could, if we wanted to, we could place them under arrest or cite them for that misdemeanor violation. If it's a felony, or if it's drinking in public, using drugs, that's an arrest.
Okay. So the life sustaining is like going to the bathroom in public or something where you have to do it no matter where you are?
Exactly.
Okay. So it sounds like there's nothing changing like dramatically on October 1st.
Not that I've heard, no.
Not that you've heard. All right, thank you.
Mr. Brown was up next.
Evening, Captain.
Hey, how you doing?
So just for everyone's, we have our city attorney working on that ordinance, and that's really for, well, Elizabeth.
Hey, stole my thunder, but that's okay.
I-
The same thing, we've been working with PBSO's legal department.
Yep.
To work on, after the new Supreme Court decision, Florida's law last year, how we can navigate this. Not just the ordinance, but policy and procedure with the captain.
And that's going to involve the county as well, which they're
And it's
not
really-
running to step up to the plate, from my understanding.
Yeah, and what I was discussing with Elizabeth as well, is that's really to kind of help us come January 1st, which is the next date, when, we can start getting, yeah. So that's to kind of give us some protection from what could be coming come January 1st. So we just
Right.
need to make sure so that'll be forthcoming. So
Yeah.
just want to make sure you guys are aware of that.
Okay. Mr. Diaz?
Thank you. First, I look forward to our meeting, I think on Monday, where we're going to go over some specifics. Yeah, you covered a lot of things. One thing that stood out to me was the open container thing. And I want to start with, there was an incident last night, right? A DUI, wrong way
No one was
driver.
hurt.
Nobody was hurt, right? First of all.
Big crash on Lucerne.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, we're a fun town for sure. I think we want people to have fun responsibly, and that's like, that's a big thing. So I just want to point out that's really appreciative, because one of the things that we always like to tout for our town, and especially for future development, is its walkability and, the ability to just be outside and have a good time. And that's kind of hard if there's a truck barreling down the sidewalk going in the wrong direction. And I'm glad, nobody was seriously injured, but, that's definitely something that I think deserves a fair amount of attention all across the board. So that's,
DUI stuff, yeah.
yeah,
And
just
crazy driving in general.
well, yeah, reckless driving, DUIs. We have a unique situation with our one-way streets. I mean, you can post up in CVS or City Hall, and 4 times a day you're going to see somebody driving the wrong way. And so, there's a number of those traffic-related things that I think are deserving of being focused. And then we have a really good mix of vehicles between not just cars, but golf carts and skateboards and e-bikes and a lot of us even in the middle of the night in dark clothing, as you know. And it's just, as it was said, it's not going to be boring. So thank you, and we appreciate, I think we have an opportunity here to make improvements.
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you. It's really nice to meet you, and it's just nice to have a new face and just learn things together. I just have a couple questions. When you do the prostitution stings, or whatever we call them these days, who are you arresting?
For that, yeah, because he ran the last.
I think you know my question. Are we arresting Johns as well as?
We arrest both, yes.
Okay. And years ago, there were zones that, was that done away with, that they couldn't go into the zone anymore?
Correct. The programs associated with those, they were called Prep and Pipe, and
Right.
they stand for something. Those are still good programs, although the mapping portion was deemed unconstitutional and no longer in effect.
Okay, great, thank you. Then, with the homeless refusals, hi, do you want to go to a shelter? Then they either get a citation or they get taken into custody?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, if they violate.
And another one, when we see these things, here's the thing about PBSO or police, you don't see the wonderful things that they do. You don't see them out with the pal. You don't see them buying stuff for kids that need help. And so I want to thank you, and the relationship that we have with the sheriff's office is a good one. And I'm very, very appreciative of that. I'm hoping that we can get our local pal to get into our own golf course and get those kids. We have a 18-hole golf course on the Intercoastal, and maybe that would be something that we could, I'm trying to, get up interest in fixing up the golf course. So I would like to see if we could possibly do that as well.
Okay.
Then I think that's it. Yeah, I just want to acknowledge the quiet, silent things that you all do behind the scenes that people don't see, and we very much appreciate it. Thank you so much, and welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Could I add a quick comment, just to circle back on the homeless? Hi, Major Palenzuela. I'm the Eastern Regional Major for the area. As Captain Carn said, so I'm in charge basically of District 14, Lake Worth Beach, District 1, unincorporated West Palm Beach, parts of Lake Worth, and District 16, City of Green Acres. So just from the executive level, the sheriff's main focus is to ensure we do not turn the county jail into a homeless shelter.
Right.
That's not our focus. Our focus in law enforcement is to partner with our community and help those that are in need, and that's always going to stay one of our primary missions. Of course, it's to protect life and property and enforce, law and investigate crime, but also on the softer side to make sure that we're helping those that are in need. The homeless, from what I could read from the law, really this law really addresses probably people that aren't running good municipal or county governments. If local government's ignoring a problem and not trying to deal with a homeless crisis, I think the state's intent was to set it up to where as long as if someone brings a complaint to you and you refer it, we're your partners. So if something's brought to the city of Lake Worth regarding any kind of homeless issue where there's crime or some kind of quality of life issue, you always bring it to us.
Right.
So we're the referring agency. We're going to partner with you to make sure that we help solve that problem. Is it going to get solved overnight in 10 minutes? No, it's not. But I think as long as we work together and we're addressing the issue, and the attorney might be able to, that would maybe lessen the civil litigation to someone could bring. They might sue us anywhere, sue you guys, or it is what it is. But I do want to know, it just came to my attention that the county is in contracts. It just hit the news. It just hit Channel 12 News. They're looking at purchasing La Quinta Inn located at Okeechobee Boulevard, just east of the Turnpike. There's a Chick-fil-A there across the street. There's a La Quinta Inn. That's coming up on auction, and they're really trying to pursue purchasing that and turning it into a temporary homeless shelter. It's a 114-room facility. I would imagine they would, secure the facility, have services there, and I'm speculating, but I think it'd be a place where if law enforcement or someone ran into somebody, they needed, emergency housing, that they could drop them off there. So that's something that's, but they're working on it.
Another hopeful opportunity is out on Lake Worth Road, that rehabilitation center, the retreat that closed suddenly and under bad, terrible circumstances, would be another, physical place that would be excellent, because they have offices, they have beds. The county reduced the amount of homeless beds from like 125 to 79 by moving east,
Right.
unfortunately. So,
Yeah, it's a crunch.
can you say your name really slowly?
Sure. Major
Yeah.
Pete Palenzuela. It's like Venezuela, but with a P. Palenzuela. Palenzuela. Palenzuela.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
and if you need me, I'm over in District 14. That's where my office is.
Okay, great.
So,
Thank you very much.
Major.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I really appreciate what you all do. Every one of you. And if you see our station at Christmas, it's wonderful. The stuff that you do with the kids, really the stuff that you do with the kids, and getting to have our kids be friendly with the police and not be afraid of the police is a great thing. Thank you so much. Okay. Now we have public comment on non-agenda items. Ms. Silverblatt, followed by Ms. Powell. A duo? You still just get 3 minutes, unless you want to come up separately, and then you'd each get 3 minutes.
Gail Silverblatt, 414 North Ocean Breeze, Tracy Rossoff Peterson, 331 South Lakeside. We're founding members of Neighbors Encouraging Shade Trees, or NEST. This is a short update. Mayor Resch asked me to do an update on the Bryant Park tree and landscape proposal. NEST was started by a small group of neighbors and users in Bryant Park to increase the tree canopy and shade in Bryant Park. We met with Mayor Betty Resch in August of 2023, and with her support for the proposal, we met with the Tree and Landscape Board to request $25,000 from the Tree Canopy Restoration Fund. The board then requested from the city a matching $25,000 using ARPA funds, which was approved unanimously by the commission in November of 2023. Since then, NEST and the Tree and Landscape Board came up with a proposal for Bryant Park using native trees and shrubs planted on the west side of the Wellness Walk, or concrete walkway adjacent to the seawall, from the north end of the park to the south end of the park, adding wellness to the Wellness Park. Along the Wellness Walk, there will be 8 tiny forests planted, plus 2 trees planted to shade the yellow suicide prevention bench, 2 trees planted to shade the exercise area, and trees will be planted in the area surrounding the playground on the south end to add shade. Tiny forests, sometimes known as mini forests, are small urban areas with a concentration of native vegetation and trees to create a complex ecosystem. Each tiny forest will have a variety of native trees and shrubs, with no two being identical. Each tiny forest will have 5 to 7 25-gallon trees, 5 to 7 5 to 15-gallon trees, and 15 1 to 3-gallon shrubs snaking through the trees. There's going to be 50 feet to 120 feet between each tiny forest. We hope to plant 1 tiny forest a month starting in November. The first tiny forest will be near the green buttonwood tree that the Bryant Park Neighborhood Association planted. We are working with our local nursery, Smarty Plants, on Dixie Highway to supply and deliver the trees, shrubs, and mulch. We're all excited to begin this project by adding shade to Bryant Park and hope it motivates residents in the city to increase shade to help cool the city and add beauty to our neighborhoods and city streets.
Thank you. That's very exciting that it's actually happening. And do you have something to add, Ms. Rosa?
As far as volunteers, we're going to need volunteers eventually. Once we get a date set, we have teams with Tree Board and Nest. And we're going to be recruiting volunteers. We won't need that many, but for watering, we'll need more. And the first one is Bryant Park, so, we're hoping that they'll help with the first one. And then each tiny forest could be adopted by a different neighborhood association. They could do their own graphics, they could call it whatever they want to call it. So, it's like a whole input for the whole city. It's not just a Bryant Park endeavor.
Right. It's
Okay.
great, it's wonderful. I'm so glad to see finally this going
Yeah,
on. Thank
it's
you so
exciting.
much. Okay, so Tracy, good, thank you very much. You were brilliantly, thank you. I love the name Tiny Forest. Ginny Powell, followed by Peggy Fisher, followed by Ms. Lowe.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. Oh, Jenny Powell, 224 North Palm Way. Okay, support, I'm going to read most of this. I'm probably ad-lib a little bit, but I've some important things to say, so I want to get it right. Supporters of the WMOTA project argue that there has been ample opportunity to learn about the proposed development. However, as best I can tell, it wasn't until the recent CRA meeting when WMOTA did a presentation that was on September 10th, and significant details were released. And this was a very positive step. The presentation also provided the dates of the 4 upcoming meetings over in the month of October. And the public will have an opportunity to more fully comment, give meaningful comments, hopefully, that you all will consider as we move forward with this review of this project. I'm hoping that before these meetings, I know there's a lot of documents related to this, and again, WMOTA did a good job detailing the different documents that are going to come before you at some point. The purchase and sale agreements, the miscellaneous agreements, the new, I guess there is a proposed public-private partnership ordinance, all of those things. It's helpful if those can be released before the meetings, because actually when I got up and said a few words at the CRA meeting, the presentation occurred after my comments. So I don't know how it will work at one of those meetings. If it's a presentation, we can't comment on the presentation. So I just want to make sure that people have that in advance and they can comment on it with time to spare about, this process seems like it's moving pretty quickly. I just want to make sure everything's out there so the people can see it. Okay. Supporters have also suggested that critics of the project believe it won't benefit the city, which is not accurate. Most residents, myself included, appreciate the WMOTA vision and have some concerns about the specifics. The devil is always in the details. I believe the proposed buildings are too high, too large, and out of scale with our low-rise downtown. We need reduced heights, increased step backs from the streets, and fewer residential units. I suggested the city forego affordable units, even though I had been in favor of that, and public amenities in exchange for a smaller footprint and this would lessen the impact on the downtown. Remember the Lucerne? That was something citizens were not happy with. I think that has been there for maybe 20 years now, I'm not sure. But not happy with it after the fact. I'm also concerned about the proposed public-private partnership, which require the city to build a new parking garage on K Street.
That's fine.
Gosh, can I Once continue finish just your a sentence, moment? Finish your sentence and then go home.
Okay. Well, I want to know if that's essential, and I think we need to consider the Bohemian that we already have that is costing the city $5 to $6 million. And I'd like to see that more fully utilized.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Phew. Next up is Peggy Fisher, followed by Retha Lowe.
Peggy Fisher, North A Street, Lake Worth Beach. I wasn't going to say anything about this, but since WMOTA was brought up, I do support it. I think it's a great addition to this city, and I wish people had gone to the CRA meetings where there were monthly updates and presentations about it, which I was there and I don't remember seeing many of the people sitting in front of me. But I was here last night, and I will say I find it very inappropriate for any elected official to personally attack a member of our city an employee of the city who does not directly, is not under their direct direction. I listened for 2 hours to a number of divisions present their information to you all and what they did, and answered, you asked some questions, they answered. And then I listened to 2 hours of code issues where it was anything but positive. An employee was personally attacked, in my opinion, beat down in front of her peers. You can shake your head. I'm sitting in the audience and I'm a resident too. Put down in front of her peers who were all sitting in these aisles. Her staff obviously will hear about it. That is not good communication. You all sat up here and talked about communication. That's not being a leader. That's not being the appropriate communication. If you have a problem, and we've had this discussion many times standing here, if you have a problem with a member of staff, you go to him. That's your avenue. And you do not attack a member of staff who's standing here trying to give information, trying to answer questions. It was all I could do to witness it, to hold my tongue. And I will say that if it had been me standing up here, I would have said, I resign, and I would have walked out the door because it was inappropriate. And I've talked to a number of other people who witnessed it online, and I will say online audio is horrible, who witnessed it and were horrified. And that's all I'll say. And anybody else who wants to witness it can go and watch the last 2 hours and judge for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Ms. Lowe.
Rita Lowe, 12th Avenue South, Lake Worth. I think Peggy said everything that I wanted to say, and I was really devastated. And I do want to say and iterate what she said. You all, I've been there, and I know how we wanted to do it to the audience when I was sitting there, and we couldn't do it. We were told, you can't do that, you can't do that. And we tried not to embarrass our residents, call them by name and things like that, and they couldn't do it to you. They stopped us. That's when I was sitting there. And last night that's the only reason I came tonight. It was horrible. Stop micromanaging. You said you hired somebody to do that. And as Peggy said, take it to him and let him handle it. Don't manage it yourself. And stop putting yourselves in doing things as your personal. This is my personal thing. You work for the city. We want you to work for our city. Love our city and our residents. Without the residents, you don't have a city. It was really devastated. Shouldn't do that. I can sit here tonight and I can call names. I'm a resident, 50 plus years in this city. I don't sit up there. And I can say what I want to say to you all up there. Because some of the things that you're doing is terrible. It's terrible to represent us. You represent me. And I agree 100% with everything Peggy said. Everything. I came to really tell certain ones off. I can call your names. You should be in the paper, on TV. It was ridiculous. And believe me, I will be back. We don't do our employees that way.
Thank you. Greg Silpe? Is it?
Good evening, Madam Mayor, distinguished members of the commission here. Greg Silpy, 2500 South Ocean Boulevard. I'm in Palm Beach. Longtime resident of the area, been coming to Lake Worth since I'm 3, so quite a long time. I'm here tonight representing the Citizens Association of Palm Beach, who represent the condominium owners from Sloan's Curve down to the south end of Palm Beach. There's 40-odd buildings, a couple thousand residents, and we are starting a dialogue with them about encouraging them to come to Lake Worth. It was my plan because I love Lake Worth and I want to see the businesses succeed. I enjoy myself coming to town here and have for many years. And I spoke to Wanda the other day, and she suggested I come here tonight and mentioned that that's what we were looking to do, and who to talk to here about starting a dialogue about what it is that we're looking for out of the city, what you're looking for from us, and how we can make a win-win situation.
I'm going to direct you to our, well, I was going to say our lead, Mr. Waters seems to be volunteering here. I'm going to direct you to Ms. Tiana in the back. She is our Leadership Services Director and our Public Information Officer, just those people, the outreach people. So hook up with them and welcome. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. I think you guys are doing a good job in the city. I think things are really on an upswing.
Great. Thank you so much.
And can I just ask you, are you Jay's brother?
I am Jay's
Yes,
brother.
okay, I knew it.
And Tracy's brother-in-law.
Do we have any, we don't read them. Okay. Okay, moving on to the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve minutes?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve consent agenda?
Second by Mimi.
Aye, yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public hearings, ordinance number 24-11, first reading, amending chapter 23.
Ordinance number 2024-11 is an ordinance to the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 23, Land Development Regulations, Article 4, Development Standards, Section 23.4-25, Micro Units, and providing for severability, conflicts, codification, and an effective date.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Hold on. You're moving too quickly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's William Waters, Community Sustainability Director. There are some options that were presented by the Planning and Zoning Board and Historic Resource Preservation Board on this ordinance that you should consider before moving forward with outright approval of what is attached in your backup.
Okay.
I'm trying to pull up the ordinance itself so we can reference the line numbers. Let's see if this actually works. These were placed in the presentation folder, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to share them or not.
Are you talking about the exception under H?
It is there. I saw it earlier.
Yeah,
It's in the summary background, I think.
William, do you want this?
oh, I got
Paper?
it. I just
Okay.
want you all to be able to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, terrible.
Make it share. So if we go down to line 54, I believe, just want to make sure that in line 54, that the shall became a should. That's reflected in the ordinance that you have before you.
Can you just read a couple words of that to make
All
sure?
micro
Line
unit.
54C, personal service, retail, or commercial space, all micro unit projects should be designed as mixed-use projects versus shall.
Okay.
Mine, yeah, we don't
So-
have that change in the backup.
That was recommended because there's a conflict between what is written here. Shall is in conflict with what something happens a little bit later. So also, if you know.
I'm sorry, William, you said line 50?
4.
54.
Oh, 54.
And
And
then,
should it be shall or should it be should?
should it be should?
It should
Okay.
be should.
We shall make it should.
And what
All
about
right,
the
I'm
shall
changing it.
in 56? Do you want that one changed also?
I'm getting there. Yes, because we need the shall there because we only allow
Parking.
the mixed-use component of micro units to happen in the mixed-use districts.
Okay.
And so then also on line 59, make sure that we have got 15 versus 20%.
Yep.
Yep.
And then as you go down to line 103, the exception.
Right.
This is where there's a little bit of difference between what the Planning and Zoning Board, Preservation Board, and staff had recommended. The intention here was that we have a number of motor lodge motels that their room sizes are a little bit larger than typical hotel rooms and serve as a great option as a micro-unit project.
Yeah.
And micro-units in and of themselves are less expensive, and under Live Local, 40% of a micro-unit project would have to all be either affordable or workforce housing. So we were approached by several entities that wanted to convert some of the motor lodge motels into micro-units. And so it's like, oh, that's a kind of a cool incentive, so we'll bring that forward. The micro-unit itself, it's just as an example, the studio unit can be anywhere from 250 to 350 square feet, where our standard studio is 400 square feet. But if a standard studio is affordable, it could be 15% smaller and be only 340 square feet. So you see where a micro unit could actually be 10 square feet bigger than the smallest affordable unit. So where there's a little bit of a challenge is the required shared common area. You're ending up creating or building more common area that defeats the purpose of the smaller unit. So that's why this number in 59 went to 15 versus 20. And then under H, we had recommended as staff that on existing buildings, there could be any combination of outdoor amenity versus indoor amenity, as long as it added to 20% of the gross area of the apartments that were being created. However, the Planning and Zoning Board recommended a different percentage, and that percentage was that at least 15% of the 20 had to be interior common area element. Most of the motor lodges in question don't have a lot of space to create that 15%, but eliminating one room or maybe turning the manager's office or whatever into shared common area. So I would recommend that, yes, we still want the 20%, but say that no less than 10% of it can be interior.
10.
So you have to have at least 10% of the area of the rooms be interior common area element. It could be more, because looking at an evaluation of some of the hotels that we would probably try to encourage, they can't meet that 15%.
So the 20 would go to 10?
We would say 20, but it had be any combination of these areas equating to at least 20% of the gross area, regardless of whether it will be all residential or mixed use. And I need to add something, and I don't really know how to phrase it, but that with no less of 10% of it being interior common area element, versus the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Board is that you've got 20%, 15% is interior, 5% is exterior. What I'd like to say is that no less than 10% out of the 20 it must be interior.
Oh, okay.
What if you say half interior, half exterior?
Well, that'd be.
That's half of the 20%.
Well, I don't want it to be sort of shelved as, our total amount we're trying to create is 20%, because some of these motor lodges have no exterior element whatsoever.
Right.
So they'd have to do 20% inside.
They would have to do
I
20%
see.
inside.
I understand.
And just so I'm clear, because I thought the half sounded the same thing as you said, but you're saying not,
A minimum of 10, a minimum of half of a 20% shall be interior common
so you're
element.
okay with the half?
He's saying it could be more.
It could be more.
A minimum of half, right.
What
I'm
it does
just wanted to be,
facilitate is a smaller area that would have to be the exterior common area element,
Right.
because there are several that I can think of that have
nothing.
no common area element, but a bench outside in
Right.
the,
I just was trying to make sure I understood the 10% of what, and it's really half of the 20% or 10% of the gross area.
of the units, yes.
Right. Okay, yeah.
I would,
So,
it'll be rewritten for you when you see it on second reading, but if you would indulge me in make an amendment to your motion to take into consideration those two things, I really would appreciate it.
So I'm going to amend the motion to under H, under exception, or under the top?
Okay,
Let's
you're
start
gonna
with
do two
both.
things.
Start
You're
with
gonna- you're gonna,
54.
amend so that line 54
Is
includes the
should.
word
I got
should
that.
versus shall. And then in section H, the exception.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure.
No less than half of 20% has to be interior common area element.
So
Melissa?
amended.
No less than half.
So amend it.
No less than half of the 20%, which is 10.
I
or
amend my
more.
motion for line 54, shall to be changed to should. And under H, under exception, no less than half of 20% shall be indoor common space.
And I amend my second.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Can I ask William one question?
Sure.
Sure.
William, on line 67, down through 80, when we talk about interior shared common area, and it says shall, supporting common areas shall include, I'm assuming we don't mean include all 9 of those things, any
It can include
combination of
any,
those.
such program shall include but not be limited to. You're allowed any one of those 11 plus other ones at the
Right.
discretion.
How about may
the
instead
board.
of
Make it clear
shall?
that it's-
Because
Yeah.
shall
I wanna make
says
it
you've
clear
got to
that
have
it's
those
not-
things.
People don't think they have to have all 9 of these
Right.
in there,
Okay.
10%, like 1% library.
Or
his
just
word
may
from-
include.
His word may is fine. We'll make that change. So line 69, that shall become a may.
Okay, second.
Amend it.
Okay.
Yes, I second that amendment as well.
Anything else?
That's all, thanks.
Okay, all right, so we have a motion amended and seconded amended, all in,
Madam Mayor, I have a public comment.
okay, Mr. Diaz, we have a commission comment.
You actually just covered it by incorporating P and Z's recommendation. Thank you. But I guess one thing I want to highlight too, I am just thrilled to hear that people are interested in taking some of those motels because those things have, I always drive by some of them and they're just like
Sad.
they're sad and they're the perfect opportunity to get just a little bit more density for housing without like major aggregation or anything like that. And it's a huge opportunity. And if this entices some of those to be converted, it's a big deal. This is really thrilling. So thank you.
Well done. Madam Clerk, and they have parking. Madam
Yes,
Clerk?
Madam Mayor. Yes. So I have one comment from Sam Smith, 109 North Palmway. I am concerned about the regulations surrounding micro units in the city. These proposed developments need to be thoughtfully designed. With a minimum of living space for these units, interior common space should be increased dramatically to make up for the fact that these tiny units will basically be mini cells. That common space should be inside due to the elements and due to the consideration for the neighbors and neighborhoods. Additionally, I am concerned about the number of parking spots available for the residents of these micro units. We have an ongoing and overarching problem with the lack of parking that is required for developments in this city. Micro units will have considerably more residents than a traditional multifamily development, yet once again, the regulations are not requiring sufficient parking for these micro units. The failure by the city to require developers to have proper and sufficient parking for the number of units being built means the developer profits go up and the parking mess is left behind in their wake. Just look at the mid and try to drive the side streets near that project. You will find that it is utter chaos and no one in the city seems to care about the residents who have lived in this city and have been paying taxes for decades. It appears that the city only cares about developer dollars and just lets them do whatever they want. A good example of this lack of concern or care by the city is along South Ocean Breeze, where several fourplexes are being built or are in the planning approval stage. These smaller projects are approved by staff without sufficient parking, and in fact, the projects are permitted to count part of the public street to satisfy parking requirements. And there is no actual on-street parking available to count. Our public streets are already overloaded with parked cars, people's driveways are routinely blocked, etc. It is not safe to drive on many of these overloaded streets. Line of sight is blocked, etc. Rather than dealing with this issue on the planning side, the city is reactive after the problem has already occurred. This is a terrible way to manage planning and development. That's my only comment.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any put no? It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. B, ordinance number 24-16, first reading, amending Chapter 9. Please read by title.
Thank you. Ordinance number 2024-16 is an ordinance of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 9, Buildings and Structural Regulations, Article 1 in general, and providing for severability, conflicts, codification, and an effective date.
Motion to approve?
Do I have a second? Are there any public comments, ma'am? Madam Clerk?
I'm sorry, no.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you again in 2 weeks.
Bye. Have a wonderful evening. Ordinance number 24-12, second reading, amending the oath of candidate form. Do I have a motion?
Can I make a motion with an amendment?
Can I read the title? And then-
Sure, sorry, I got
It's
excited.
a short
I
one.
like to stick to a routine. Ordinance number 2024-12, an ordinance of the City of Lake Worth Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, Elections, Section 2-15, oaths required of candidate to clarify the requirements to qualify for election, providing for severability, conflicts, codification, and effective date, and other purposes.
Thank you. Do I have a motion with an amendment?
Yes, so I'd like to make a motion to pass this as amended as follows. So line 57, where it says that basically the person will establish a fixed habitation or primary abode at the address below, which is in the district within the City of Lake Worth Beach, and he, she, they intends to reside at that address indefinitely. I want to change indefinitely to the words during their entire term in office.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that make sense, Glenn? You see where I'm doing it?
Yeah, I'd like to maybe include the word indefinitely and your language, because I know there's case law that talks about residency, meaning a person's intent to reside somewhere indefinitely, so maybe say indefinitely, including but not limited to the entire term of office.
Okay,
Is that-
that's fine. Yeah, I want it to be legal, but I also don't want them to be able to
Pesky
leave
laws.
halfway in the middle.
Words are to add,
Just what we
including
need.
entire terms of office, entire term of their office.
In the, yes, during their entire term in office.
And is that, so that's the really specific legal word they use? Because indefinitely to me means like you're gonna live there forever. And
Right.
Yeah.
And-
I'm not 100% on that, I'm just thinking back almost law school days.
Yeah.
What about indefinitely during their time in office?
Well, at least during their time in office.
At least, I mean, really, after
Can we
they're-
just say,
after they're
and
gone,
get
they
rid of
can move any
indefinitely and
place.
use the phrase
Yeah,
at,
because you can move.
At
to a
least-
date.
Okay, at least.
at a, yeah, at least, to include at least their time in office. Something like that.
Yeah.
But another thing to consider, not to digress too, is it going to be too clunky? Like, what if this person is a renter and where during his term he moves to another address still in district? Would they still be covered by that language?
At that address or another address.
Within the district.
Within the district that he, she, they serves.
Let's make it complicated. And I'm still having trouble with that with the grammar part of it, but I'm just gonna have to live with it.
We're just gonna get over it. He, she,
Yes,
they.
because Madam Mayor,
Yeah,
I know because I'm really into grammar and all that stuff.
Right.
And I know normally it would be they have,
right.
but for people who are not gender specific, they're a single person. So it is correct, even though it sounds
has.
awkward.
Okay, that's
I know,
fine.
I get it. So did we come to an agreement? Because I left it at indefinitely, including their entire term in office.
No,
Glenn, do you have something different?
The latest version that I'm hearing is after the word, they intends to reside at that address or another address within said district.
Oh, wait. I'm not a stenographer. Another address
Within said
within
district
said district
to include at least
to
the time.
include
to
at
include
least
at least their entire time in office.
Term.
Their
Term.
entire term in office.
Thank you.
well, then wouldn't it be from, okay, including their entire term in office?
And does the indefinitely then disappear and be
I think so.
replaced?
And if we need to bring that back, that's a small change we could bring back for second reading.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
This is a second reading.
oh, And we're bringing it back right now. You're on your second reading.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just make sure I have it clear. To reside at that address or another address within said district to include at least their entire term in office.
Yes.
Okay.
Good with that?
Yeah.
For at least their time, it doesn't.
I mean, the to include sounds weird, but I'm not a lawyer.
Including?
For their entire term in
Yeah.
office.
Yeah.
I'm with the mayor.
Within said district.
For their entire term in office.
Yeah, I would take out the at least.
Okay.
For
Yeah.
their entire term
Term.
in office.
Yeah.
Okay, so does the motion and seconder agree to that?
The motion maker does.
Second,
Oh, I don't,
Yes,
did you
both of us
second,
do.
Commissioner Diaz?
Mr. Diaz
Could
is a seconder and he approves the
yes.
amendment.
Yeah, I approve.
Okay. Thank you. And
No,
I do
but-
have a public comment.
Okay, we have no cards, so let's have your public comment.
Sam Smith, 109 North Palmway. I'm in favor of requiring documentation from candidates running for office in the city of Lake Worth Beach. However, I would expand the list of documents to include a property deed. I have run into a problem with the city just over the last year where the city demands a copy of a mortgage or lease, and because a particular property is owned free and clear, I cannot comply, and the city staff or customer service folks are stumped. I'm not sure what has changed at City Hall because I've never previously been asked for a copy of a mortgage for one of my properties when doing business with the city, despite owning several properties over many years in the city. But the list of acceptable documents needs to be changed at City Hall as well. That's the end of my comments.
Thank you very much.
And
That's not a terrible idea. Just put it in after mortgage statement, comma, deed or lease.
Because if your name's on the deed, that doesn't mean you live there. You could
That's
have your
true.
name on the
That's
deed and be
true. That
renting
doesn't
it.
prove that you
That's-
live
doesn't-
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
good
anybody
point,
could-
good
that's why
point, good
we
point.
talked
But
about
the
this at
same-
the last
Well,
meeting.
same goes for the mortgage
Mortgage.
statement. We
Right,
can't,
but we're
that
just giving
doesn't,
them a choice, a list of possibilities. It doesn't say they have to provide everything. That
Right,
also
but
they have to
that
provide.
doesn't prove that you
A
live
deed
here.
showing a homestead property, maybe.
But also
I
on a
mean-
mortgage, it does show the property address and the mailing address on your mortgage statement. It shows both on a mortgage
Right,
statement.
but that doesn't help
That
if
doesn't mean they
you,
live there.
if somebody has paid off their building, then they don't have one of those.
And they could provide a utility bill, Commissioner.
Well, if they had a deed, if our intent is to make sure that they're living here and they're saying, well, I have a deed in my name, my house is paid off, it should be homesteaded. I mean, one would think it's homesteaded, and that would be
It
something
still
they
doesn't
could
mean that
provide.
that they live there. I mean.
Well, I mean, if they're
Should
homestead,
legally,
they
if-
better live there.
If it's homestead. So why don't we say that? Why don't we say that it would be
A property appraiser
take
statement
off,
showing.
take off the mortgage statement, but you can bring in a homestead document. Because we get those
Don't
little
take the
things.
mortgage statement off.
Yeah, I
You
wouldn't
can
take
leave
it
that on,
off.
but
No?
Just
add,
add
I
it.
would
It
just
could be
add.
homesteaded and they don't live there, correct? Couldn't they be renting it out?
Yeah, but
Well,
that's
That's
illegal.
illegal. I mean, you're supposed to.
People do things illegal all the time, which is why.
I understand that, but a driver's license, I mean, you can, I could have a Lake Worth Beach driver's license, move to Boynton Beach and not change my driver's, I mean.
Yeah.
But you have 30
endless
days to do, okay.
well, but people
You're
don't.
making it
We've
better.
already talked
I mean,
about this.
Perfection is going to be almost impossible in
Right.
something like this, but you.
So-
Well, we want to make sure that we can do
I
the
would-
best we can
I would
today.
add a statement from the property appraiser showing a homestead, I think
As
that,
an additional.
yeah, as one of the things
Yeah,
that we can.
I think that's fine.
Yeah,
A homestead exemption from the property.
Yeah.
appraiser.
yeah, yeah.
So we'll add that
Yeah, like the
after-
little card that they
The
send you.
little card that they send
We
you
can look it
or
up online if there's.
So
if
the
they've got-
mortgage statement, comma,
Some form from that. I mean,
Homestead,
I don't know what.
exemption,
exemption.
Or lease.
Print it out
or lease.
Okay.
from the.
Or lease.
Bottom line is there's really no like straightforward, surefire way. It's a combination of options that, because you can come up with 1,000,001 scenarios of that's not going to work. Like, is there a reason why voter registration isn't included on the list? There's a lot of different combinations that are going to need to be used.
I don't think it's on your passport either.
Actually, it is on there, but it's not as a proof of, you do have to provide a voter registration card during qualifying. It's already on the oath, so I didn't put that in the list
Okay.
since it's already on there.
We had a commissioner years ago that never lived in the city of Lake Worth. Long time ago. Okay,
Okay.
Miss, I see lights on.
Well,
Wow,
Took
that
care
was-
of that.
The second, you got that,
And add the word homestead exemption after the word mortgage statement.
perfect.
Mortgage
Or,
statement,
and, you know, just comma,
or
more,
lease.
right.
Yep.
Or
Okay.
lease ends it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have a.
Thanks, Sam
motion-
Smith.
Improvement.
We have a motion as amended? Mm-hmm. And do I have a second as amended? Mm-hmm. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
I always think we're like done now.
We have no unfinished, all our business is finished.
I know, it's so weird because this book was so thick.
Yeah. So. Now, we are up to commission liaison reports and comments. Let's start with one.
Okay, hasn't really been that busy, but I did go to gang awareness at Barton Elementary last night with PBSO and Healthier Lake Worth Beach and for the children in Barton Elementary. And it's always a great time. And it's where the kids design posters about saying no to bullying and saying no to gangs. And then there's a judging process and the kids get awarded gifts. And to see these kids grasping the concept of how to say no and how to use their boundaries and safe spaces, it's always one of my most enduring, I should say, events, because these are elementary kids, and when you talk about this fun stuff with them, and their eyes light up, and, you know, you talk about what happens when when you're in a gang, and they say you either go to jail or you end up dead, you know, and it's a hard reality, but I'm glad that it's being taught to the youth. So that was last night, but I had to leave there to rush here, so I'm sorry I didn't get to hang out and dance. Business Development Board meeting with Mr. Waters, I see he left. I attended that with him a couple weeks ago with the Business Development Board in the county, and just sat in to hear what is the county and how are they trying to bring investment in, and how do we get in front of that opportunity? What does that look like? There was a great presentation by Florida Atlantic University and some of the things that they're doing there, but if you guys could ever sit in on one of those, it was very insightful. We don't have a business development board per se, but it was, you know, economic stimulation, job creation. They were talking about AI and aerospace and healthcare and what the big industries are that are coming to Palm Beach County. We had the home dedication 2 weeks ago. That was fun with the CRA. We have another one coming up, which is right next door, which is a veteran home dedication. I had the Rolo meeting, which is the residents of Lake Osborne, which is always the same day as the CRA meeting. And the residents of Lake Osborne are just really frustrated with the 6th Avenue and the bridge project, which I can only imagine. So we're working through some stuff in that. Got them some updates. And the CRA just went to that meeting again and got the update from WMODA. Anybody who's listening, WMODAloveslwb.com is the website to follow the project and to sign up for any newsletters on updates, drawings, diagrams, input. So please spread that, WMODAloveslwb.com. That's all I got.
Thank you. District 2?
Thank you. Just a couple of small announcements and a little further, while we're on the WMODA, WMODA is reaching out and doing presentations one-on-one to us. I had one, is today Tuesday?
It is.
I had one yesterday. I have asked that as soon as that they're comfortable with the presentation, that be made available to us and made available to the community. So that's, and yes, to the community, if you have interest in it, if you have concerns, things, those meetings are coming up soon. October 7th is the joint one with CRA and the city. Then there's a CRA vote on the 8th, I guess, and comes to the city for some votes, 2 votes later on in October. So it's time to look into it and make sure you're on board with whatever they're planning. An exciting thing, Bridges at Highland, used to be at Highland and was near there for a while. They now have a home
Good.
that way, near here, at 303 Lake Avenue. It is the little plaza near, I want to say Lakeside.
The old
What's
Wells
it?
Fargo?
It's behind old Wells Fargo.
That building?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit set
Okay, yeah.
back, parking in front.
Yes.
Yep. They're very happy that they finally have a home, and I don't know whether it's because they're happy, but they've asked me to present some of the Bridges Champion Awards tomorrow night out in Royal Palm. So I'll be doing that. If anybody has a white jacket, sport jacket,
I
I'm in
do,
need
but
of one.
I don't think I'm going to go and drag.
Okay, yeah, probably not good for that.
We've seen that already.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
saw,
we've
we
seen
all
that
saw
already.
that.
Yeah, and that had shoes. I'm not doing that again. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. District 3?
All right, first I wanted to thank Nellie and Keith and IT for the updates to the website. The landing page looks great, and we're getting there, and it's getting much more user-friendly, and I noticed, and thank you very much for that. The Department of Community Sustainability, I think I was the one who kind of pushed that presentation because I wanted to learn more. And that's really what the idea was. It was to inform the commission. I'll speak for myself. It was to inform me to understand the processes that the departments go through and how we as legislators can help them streamline those processes. So, and also because we do get calls, how can we communicate the most effectively with residents to be the most helpful, I guess, is the idea. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of being here, you know, is how can we help people here in Lake Worth Beach? And so I wanted to publicly thank all of the department heads for coming here. I know that that's after their normal workday, and they look like they were definitely used to being in bed, some of them. So it was very, I thought it was a productive evening where I did get to learn a lot. I got to ask a lot of questions and kind of see where the holes are, where the gaps are, and how can we as a commission help, you know, kind of help the city become more clean and green. I think we've all been kind of talking about that and it really does seem like it's going to be teamwork between the citizens, Public Works, Code, and honestly, public information. You know, it's going to have to be a lot of, like you were saying last night, Mr. McVoy, kind of an overarching goal, you know, for our city, that these are the standards we need to elevate to, and we'll take nothing less. So anyway, the two more things. One, on Thursday, I've agreed to go to the morgue. And so I've never seen a dead body or what are they called? Autopsy, but I'm obsessed. So I'm kind of excited. Hopefully I can sit through it.
Preparation for Halloween or?
No, not Halloween. We were in.
A career change.
Yes, no, I think we were all actually, I don't know if we were all invited,
all
but
invited.
we were all invited. So if you want to come with me,
I'm passing.
you're more than welcome to. It's 8:00 in the morning at the, I don't know, wherever the
early for an
address is.
We
autopsy.
all got an invitation.
Yeah, the medical examiners. No, I'm probably, it's going to be great for my diet. I'll probably never eat again. Okay, anyway, and then the CRA meeting, I did attend that. You know, the WMODA is, I've seen them give presentations to groups as small as 2. And they have bent over backwards to present to so many different groups in the city. Almost every single neighborhood, and definitely if they ask for it. They've come a couple times to the NAPC. I know they've met individually with residents. You know, they've listened, they've changed their plans, they've done so much. And I'm not saying that we don't look through the fine ink or the fine point or whatever it's called. You know, obviously I want to make sure that because we have that fiduciary responsibility to the city. But we also can't be afraid of change. We can't be afraid of growth. And, you know, as far as our first big project, it's an art museum. I mean, this is Lake Worth Beach. You couldn't get a better project. So I'm really excited about that. And if anybody out there in YouTube land has questions, the WMODA people will literally get on the phone with you and talk to you. The CRA director, the members of the CRA will get on the phone and talk to you. I will get on the phone and talk to you, you know, so the communication is there if you want it. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz.
Thank you. Yeah, I had my meeting with them earlier today, and it's, I think the October meetings are pivotal because that's where everything's been buttoned down from a concept to more of an actual plan, and I love that you use the legal word fiduciary duty because that's what we'll be doing our job, and it's a big part of it, and it's pretty exciting because for things to come in as unsolicited proposals, I mean, what are you gonna wait another decade for somehow? So I mean, it's good. It's good and on so many senses. So that's really exciting. As far as what I've been doing, oh gosh, we're just begin. Tomorrow we have our TPA governing board meeting. I don't think there's really anything that directly impacts us on that. We had a update from Lake Worth Lagoon Initiative where yesterday I wasn't able to attend, but we do have a steering committee meeting coming up. And one of the updates was, of course, our funding request, the one and only non-county funding request, which is really exciting to see that go through. And then some fun things. I looked through the presentation. I have to get the actual update, but they did talk a lot about our Snook Islands and people. I'm surprised Gail left because I feel like she does have to work with her photos, but the bird reports have been really interesting. We have new birds nesting on Snook Island, so it's a good sign. They're successful, and it's exciting to think that more projects that are living shoreline, like our legislative funding requests, like the little pocket parks, whatever you want to call them, the right-of-ways, how we have those conversations, because all those things, even a little bit at a time, provide a little bit of habitat, which cleans our water, which makes our waterfront more interesting, brings in the wildlife. It's really cool stuff, and we're doing a lot. And oftentimes it's not as fast as the community wants, and I can certainly appreciate and agree with that sentiment, but we have to, just like everyone else, we have to jump through, we're government, but we also have to jump through other government hoops. And then more hoops, and then they're on fire and they're moving, and we hear the comments and the complaints about construction and all that, and believe us, we may not be allowed to express it as honestly as the community does, but I think we agree. We definitely agree. Other than that, some fun things. I had a meeting recently with a number of people, mainly Tom from Hoops to Hope, just to kind of lay it out there. There's an event being planned for November, and it's a fun one. And he approached me because he had this idea to work more with the city and just do more events, but he wants, the short version is a sporting event because we're both really into sports and making it available to kids. But it'll be a soccer and basketball tournament, and it's bridging two communities together. And the fun part is, if you're used to playing soccer, you can sign up for this tournament, but you also have to play basketball and vice versa.
You gotta use your hands.
Yeah, it gets the kids out of their comfort zone. It's really important to play multiple sports. I grew up playing, a bunch of stuff. I was really good at any of them. That's why I'm here. And I think it's really critical for childhood development, especially like what Vice Mayor Malega mentioned in terms of gang intervention and just getting kids a healthy outlet. So that's really exciting. And the other exciting thing is yesterday we had a meeting with staff. Thank you for being there. And also I brought in a couple friends of mine, potential partners, if you will, with West Palm Beach Fishing Club and an engineer. And the conversation started, finally, if you remember, we set some money aside to look at Spillway Park and improving it, including bringing back the old fishing pier that when it was removed years ago, we were promised. It's only going to be for a little bit. Mark remembers. It's been double-digit years now, and we want them back. And so that conversation's going, and it's some pretty exciting stuff because as we talk about parks and the issues we have with our parks in terms of law enforcement and things like that. I'm a firm believer that the way we resolve most of those issues is bringing in appropriate use of those parks. And you know, I'm a snook fisherman. Snook fishermen are out there all hours of the day and night. And if good people are using the parks, it tends to help take care of our parks. So that's, you know, it's more than just a fishing pier is I guess what I'm kind of getting at. It's more than just getting access to fishing. It's getting good use and activating our public areas. That's it.
Thank you.
Can I ask him a
Yeah, I was going to say, your
I
finger is
asked
like
him a-
lurking.
No,
on
I
that.
was just thinking about snook fishing, and like, if we do get the fishing stuff up there, we have to make sure we have a sign that talks about the slot that they can be in.
So I'm glad you asked that because I told, and a slot. So there's,
They can't be too big,
Yeah.
too small, they can only be within this.
yeah, 29 to 33 inches, and it's a certain season, and it's really strict because the snook population isn't doing like phenomenal, and I'm glad you asked that because a big part of this project, and like I told, and I think the fishing club agrees, and so does the engineer, we're all kind of big nerds about properly handle these fish, and Tiana learned way too much about fish anatomy yesterday, but but we're big nerds about that because it's a critical important. I wouldn't want to take on this project unless there's some sort of education about not just how, like the season and the legalities of it, but how to properly handle them so that they survive, and even to some degree include some sort of technology, maybe like a fish slide or something, where we can safely release them instead of like chucking them over the railing, because that's not good. So there's some interesting things out there. Fish slide.
Oh, those tubes where the fish just come out when they're baiting a lake. It's
Literally
crazy.
like a water slide,
Yeah.
like pumped water, and then it could be, yeah.
Woo! That's it?
All right, I'm nerding out up here.
Okay. Careful.
you on your skiff.
Okay.
You on my skin.
Yeah, there you go. I'll guide you.
I can't offer a skiff. Okay, first this is an email that I sent out last night after the meeting to our staff. First, I want to thank you all and all of your staff for the information which was shared tonight. This was a unique opportunity for us to be educated and to share ideas. I know my tone was uncharacteristically harsh this evening, and I apologize for that. Certainly, there was no intent of any personal attack. I understand more than most how difficult your jobs are. I believe that working together as a team, we can both support staff and at the same time, we can improve our services to our residents. Again, my apologies. I have consistently been very supportive of staff and will continue to be. I appreciate your hard work and the challenges that you face. And I ask, please convey this to the staff. So that was from last night. Tomorrow morning, the Florida League of Mayors, I'm on the board of the Florida League of Mayors. We're having a Zoom meeting. Madam Clerk, from the March election, when is the deadline for us to have to submit questions or get to you about questions?
So for referendum questions,
Yeah,
I have to give everything to the supervisor of elections in early December. So we would have to have things approved by November meetings.
okay, great. The reason I ask is we've talked about this a few times. With the percentage of votes, right now we're at 50 plus 1, and we ended up in a crazy runoff this year that cost the city a lot of money, over $71,000. And I'm wondering, I know the other cities do it differently, and I'm wondering if we could get consensus to maybe look at alternatives to what we're doing now. Can we ask our city?
Consenting.
I consent.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, Glenn, could you turn on your mic?
He did,
I got it.
he did.
If you want to put a charter amendment on.
Yeah.
You can,
Yeah.
I think we have enough time. I think Melissa said, when was your deadline, Melissa?
December.
December?
But what we would need to.
Right, it would have to, the second reading would have to be the second meeting of November at the latest.
Wow.
So it would be like the majority or something like,
Yeah, so
change the language to
different-
majority.
Different towns have different ways of doing it. I know this is sort of like Lake, but I realized the other day, it's like, wait, this is going to be coming up and we have an election in March. Just to take a look at that and
So
see.
what would you, and let's think about the language, because the Charter Review Committee had considered various versions of the language. They had talked about everything from, if it's not 50% plus 1, is it highest vote getter, period? So if there's 6 people running, highest votes might be 21%, my memory of some of their conversations. Or is it highest vote getter with a minimum of 35%, 40%, 42%, to make sure that there was some significant number,
Right.
and not just 20%, but that was conversations they had. So I don't know where you want to go with this.
I was gonna say, they did present that to us, the charter amendment group did. Maybe Melissa can pull up that language, because I think that she was the
It
liaison
was
for it.
40% plus one. And it was yes, so it was 40% plus one, and it failed at first reading and didn't go on the ballot. So I think there are maybe 6 out of the 39 municipalities have runoffs. I've said this many times. Wendy Link, Supervisor of Elections, urges cities to get rid of the runoffs. So if we don't want to have a ballot amendment that says eliminate the runoff, the ballot language should just be something along, I could check with the other cities what they say. It's pretty much whoever gets the most votes wins. That's what almost all of the cities do in the county.
I think we should just do that.
But what,
Sorry.
I think what Glenn raised is, suppose there are 6 people, I mean.
That's what the Charter Review Committee raised. I didn't come up with that one, but they're right, that was.
Some minimum.
Yeah, I think.
Melissa and I have had this
Right.
conversation, and I get her concern too, which is if the number's 40%, you might still have a runoff. But then the counter argument to that is, well, should there be some minimum number of people that need to support Mr. Jones or Ms. Smith before they become elected as a commissioner?
Because didn't Wellington
Yeah.
have
I
35%?
think it's either, yeah, a couple.
And they
Yes,
still
and they
had a
had a
runoff.
runoff for 3 seats.
That's right.
This March.
That many.
But most cities have, just like most elections in the country are, whoever gets the most votes wins.
They can do a recount.
I think we should have delegates.
Electoral college.
An electoral college. Well,
if you can
okay,
get
we're going to have an agenda meeting soon, on Friday. Maybe we can talk about it then a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
The other thing that I had mentioned at an agenda meeting last time is, we have 2 3-year terms, and I think some of us are finding that 6 years, if you want to see something through, I'm still in favor of term limits, but I'm wondering if we might want to consider 3 3-year terms as an alternative. I brought that up at a meeting, just throwing it out there. Last spring, at the bridge, the LGBTQ community, we had the rainbow lights. Someone suggested that we could do that, but do it as a red, white, and blue. So, like for Veterans Day. So I've spoken to a couple groups. I'm going to the American Legion tomorrow night. I spoke with the Daughters of the American Revolution the other day about that idea. It's a very simple thing. You go up on the bridge, we have gels for the different colors, and to show we are a diverse community, but we're all, live in this country. So that's something I'm working on. And if anybody was interested and wants to join in, I'm happy. It's not an official action of the city. It's just something that we're going to just to mimic what the Compass had done in the spring.
Can I just say, if we're going to keep doing the fireworks where we do them for 4th of July, that would kind of look awesome lit up with the fireworks
It's a lot,
behind.
though.
It is a lot.
It's a lot. It's so beautiful because it's so quiet. You go up on the bridge, you put the lights on, somebody takes a picture from the other side, and the light's reflected in the water. It's just and we don't do much for Veterans Day. There's a lot going on the 4th of July. John is making notes here. Just a thought. Well, we did it. I mean, it was about 150 people. It was great. It was very beautiful. So,
BYO flashlight?
yeah, bring your own, bring a high-intensity flashlight. And we would provide the gels, the red and the blue gels. So I'm looking for enthusiasm and cooperation, and just let's see if we can do it. So after I meet with the American Legion, see how much interest they have. Finally, also, the beach, up at the beach, I had the opportunity to walk around the other day, and I have to say, and I forget his name.
I don't.
Okay.
Rosondo.
Yep.
Rosondo.
It is amazingly clean. It is amazing. We walk through the bushes and by the parking and through the back. That's a place that could easily be a nasty place because people go and stay there. And it was immaculate. It was well cared for. I would be happy to bring my family and have a picnic there. So kudos to him and his crew, because I would like to have those folks in Bryant Park or downtown. That kind of level was really, he didn't want. It was just really good to see. Finally and sadly, we lost a member of our community this past week. Bo Allen was a commissioner in the 90s here and was very active in our community for a very long time. He was a realtor with his wife Erin and his son John, and he did pass away after a very long, he fought like the devil, but finally, he did pass away, and I just want to send our condolences to his family and to his friends and to our community. That was a loss, so.
Thanks for the reminder. I regret not mentioning that in my invocation.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine, yeah. And also Mr. Pinto. But I just wanted to mention that and to send our prayers and our thoughts out to the family. A question with WMOTA has been coming up with parking, and one thing I wrote to Mr. Waters, the underground parking for WMOTA is going to be, there was a concern about the mid, there'd be all this parking, but it's going to be gated parking like the Lucerne, so it's not going to be random people coming into park. The people that can enter the underground parking lot will be residents of that development, not your friends can't park there. So I think we're going to have a different, and I wonder if that's something we can't think about when we talk about developments in the future, that to avoid the kind of parking problems that we're having at the mid. Because Mr. Waters very cogently pointed out that the problems really come not just from the lack of not enough parking, but the fact that people are having more cars and their friends are coming over. So just something to think about. And with that, I am done. So, Mr. City Manager, Mr. Acting City Manager.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Since you just mentioned WMOTA, and we've had a couple comments this evening, the workshop that's going to be on October 7th up at the casino building, which is the joint meeting between all of you and the CRA board, to kind of go over everything we're going over in our one-on-ones and everything right now. It's been a long 7 to 8 months with the 3 different factions, which is WMOTA and their whole team, the CRA, and then city staff. It's been long and grueling, but our job as staff is to make sure that we're bringing something forward for all of you to make a decision on that's fiscally responsible, and we're not going to put ourselves in any kind of bind. So obviously, it's going to end up with yourselves and the CRA board to make the ultimate decision, but we wanted to make sure from a staff perspective, we've done all of our due diligence, and we're bringing forward something that, should you want to move forward with it, is going to be something that's going to be very prosperous for the city, especially from the financial side of things. So I just wanted to make sure I put that out there. And because there'll be a lot of things that are discussed as far as obligations from all the different parties, and we'll go through the financial stuff and all the other stuff as well. But we've obviously had our finance director and all of the attorneys involved, and it's just been there's so many moving parts to this thing. But I think it's going to be very interesting, and it should be interesting to get a lot of the feedback too when we have these. Moving forward from that, obviously next week's going to be a very busy week. We've got the housing study / short-term rental special meeting on Monday. We've got our utility meeting on Tuesday. We've got our budget hearing number 3 on Thursday. This Friday, obviously, you already mentioned our pre-agenda meeting. I'm also trying to set up for either October, I believe it might be in October, because we don't have that first meeting in November. Willie Puz, Public Affairs for the Solid Waste Authority, to come and give an annual update, because we haven't had one of those in a long time. Commissioner McVoy, you had brought it up in one of our one-on-ones as far as the recycling and kind of what's happening right now in the county. So he can go over the process that they're currently going through, our actual city tonnages, and how we're doing as a city as far as what's being collected and everything like that. So it's a good time to have him come in before the holidays and kind of give an update on how the city is doing as far as the recycling program is concerned. Only other thing I have, a short one tonight, I wanted to officially congratulate our own Vaughn Haydock, who is now officially the city utility director.
Congratulations.
So
Girl.
she yes, she will obviously be here next Tuesday for the utility meeting, so you
that's
guys will
great.
all get to see her in her first meeting as
Wonderful.
the official utility director. But she's obviously in the wake of our previous director moving on. She really stepped up to the
Yeah.
plate. She's doing a phenomenal job. She's just an incredible person all around. So I'm very happy to have her on the team.
Good job.
So yeah,
Thank
it
you.
is official now. So that's all I got.
Okay. Mr. Attorney?
Only that the Form 6, Form 1 saga continues. It's nothing new other than the federal court has given the sides a deadline of November to submit their arguments, and he will then decide probably sometime in January or February whether to extend his injunction permanently or rescind it or revise it. So not breaking news, but just there's still movement in that case. It's still going on.
I'll trade them that for the sunshine law.
That's all I have. Otherwise,
Oh, one more thing. On next week, the 3rd, I think it is, Ms. Maleg and I are heading up to Orlando for our yearly legislative committee meetings to start out with. And they're actually interesting. It's a lot of people at the meetings, but we do have input and we make decisions about what are the issues that we're going to bring, promote to the legislature or fight the legislature in doing, like raising our, what? Raising our sovereign immunity levels and things like that. So we'll be back up in Orlando. So, do I have a motion?
Motion
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a
Second.
All in favor? Aye.